This meeting is related to the three instances which we have faced in the last 3 weeks. From the firewall, we've got reports on what has happened. During this meeting, we'll be discussing about what is the impact to our system, what was affected, what are the next steps we were planning to have, will be discussed, and solutions will be provided. Let's talk about the scenario 1, where we had 25 different types of threat which was recorded in our firewall. The total number of hits, hits which firewall recorded was 33,789, of which 631 hits were critical and a high of 800. So these hits captured in the firewall are being analyzed. We did analysis on all the 25 streams of impact, of which we found there were minimal to no impact in our system. Minimal impact in cases where the browser response was slow, it crashed due to the memory allocation, memory issue threat which was recorded. And there were a few instances where brute force attack was done on the LDAP servers. These two, or most of the issues which we had faced, are due to the patches, the security patches which are not implemented in our system. The latest security patches must be implemented. So we worked together, put a plan together to apply all the security patches in our system within this month, so that the upgrades are current, software stack is going to be current with the security patches applied. We also found another issue related to in this first scenario, where we've been using SSL v3 in multiple cases. This will introduce a man-in-the-middle attack. It is not a high-risk item, but there is a possibility for a man-in-the-middle attack. If a person is able to intrude into our network, it will be able to sniff the packets and get data. So we have planned to upgrade the encryption standards. We are going to use TLS 1.2 with high degree of bits encryption, 2056 bits encryption with the latest algorithm SHA-256. That is planned. In this regard, that is also planned to be implemented by the end of this month. Considering these two items, the first scenario will be covered, and these threats will no longer be a major threat for us. Moving on to the scenario 2, here we had 25 different patterns of threats, of which 4 were critical, 9 were high, 6 were medium, and low of 6. There were a total of 99,556 record hits on the firewalls, of which 71 were critical, 53,384 were high. But considering the impact of all these hits, we went ahead and we did a multiple analysis of each threat which was reported. Each threat had no impact. Most of them had no impact, but few brute force attacks caused some system performance, and also it had impact on the servers. The first impact was reported by our users. They kept seeing changes in their desktop pictures, folders. There was also an instances where configuration changes were happening when they were not using the machine. So when we did analysis, we found there was remote desktop being accessed outside of our network, and was intruded into a system to make these changes. Hearing that, first step what we did was, like, we did an impact analysis. No data from the desktop is being captured. It just was accessed, but there was no net data present in our desktop. So they were not able to reach out to our database. So this first step, hearing the issue, we went ahead and stopped or blocked all the remote access to the users in the system. All users have no access for remote desktop, and we also went ahead and configured in the firewall IPS for any request which comes into our network with request of firewall. We block it irrespective of from which place it comes, who sends a request for remote access. It gets blocked right away on the firewall. We've been tracking. We will set up a plan, detailed plan on how to mitigate the remote access if at all required by our team. But for now, we have completely revoked access for remote access. Moving on to scenario 3, here we faced 25 threats in our firewall, where 8 were critical, 16 were high, and 1 medium. And hit counts recorded in our firewall for each of the category are: for critical it was 312, a high of 183, and the medium 935. The grand total of 1430 30 hits on the firewall. Considering this, there was compared to the scenario 1 and scenario, there were hits when fewer, but the impact was higher than the first and the second scenarios. Here in this incident, what we found was there were multiple malwares introduced in our system. There were a few viruses counted, unknown documents which had viruses were introduced in our network. Working on that, what we did was we tried eradicating the viruses from our system, and the first point of fix for that was to stop viruses from entering into our system. So what we did, we went to the IPS, we had configurations updates made where no data which is treated as a virus or malware will not be accepted or entered into the system. We will be stopping it, blocking it right there, and letting no virus attacks into the system. So that's the first plan. Now, once we've already done this configuration, we've tested it out, we will be also cleaning up all the data which was corrupted wherever the viruses were present. We will be cleaning up. From the impact side, what we found is because of these viruses and the malware introduced in our system, these kept transferring between our system, different systems. So what are the impacts caused due to these malwares, where system resources were used by exponentially, so it made the processes slow for the normal use of the system. As I talked earlier, the configuration changes and the virus cleanup, antivirus systems upgrade will help clearing up all these issues. These issues will be moved out of the system. Talking about these are the short-term goals. When we go into the futuristic long-term goals, since we've just started on the security aspects, there's a long way to go. What we have done as an initial setup is we have blocked as much as possible, even for SMTP, simple mail transfer protocols are blocked for now, but depending on the request and the needs of the system, we will be able to open it up to the larger audience. So that is planned in multiple phases. The first phase of it is going to be creating a team where instance response team will be created. First, Stephen Sharma and I have joined together to have this core team. We will be adding few more people to the group to help us out in this. The main goal of this incident response team is going to be analysis of the firewall threats, see if there is any impact. If there is an impact, we're going to go resolve it. If there is no impact, we will make configuration not to have those threads anymore blocked, depending on the merits of the threads. We are also having a training session set up for all the team members of the company. They will be trained on what are the security aspects, what are the security issues, whom to report, when to report, what are the abnormalities. Those kind of basic training sessions will be conducted so that the team is aware of it. Apart from that, firewall updates, we keep, as I was saying, we'll keep updating the firewall rules to accommodate all the changes. Any questions, any comments, reach out to me. We'll able to work together to solve all these issues. Any questions, reach out. Thanks again for your time.